Welcome to Cybersecurity Studio, where we take a look at the latest trends and events in cybersecurity. In the studio, we have the usual suspects, Janne Nevalainen
and Söderblom. Welcome.
So our first news is quite big, and we talk about OpenSSL vulnerabilities. So OpenSSL is widely used to encrypt communication channels and connections which are used, for example, in websites. And also a lot of vendors use OpenSSL. And two vulnerabilities were revealed. And one is stack buffer overflow that could trigger, for example, crashes or lead to remote code execution in target systems. And other can be exploited by attackers, for example, to trigger a denial of service state via a buffer overflow.
Right.
So quite nasty vulnerabilities. And OpenSSL versions 3.0.0 to 3.0.6 are affected, so the older versions are not affected by this.
Okay.
And well, the best way to mitigate the threat is to patch the versions to use the latest OpenSSL version 3.0.7.
Yeah, that's a major impact, concerns many organizations around the globe. Yeah, huge thing.
Okay, but what fun do you have in your bag?
Well, my first news is about how crackers have abused an antivirus software to launch a malware. Yeah, so there's a sideload process going on here. So what is this all about? So there was this Chinese CISA hacking group called APT10, which has abused the security software to install a new version of the so-called load info malware against Japanese organizations. And the targeted entities are basically Japanese media groups, diplomatic agencies, government and public sector organizations, and so forth. And according to Kaspersky, the well-known cybersecurity company, they've been following this APT10 groups or operations since 2019. And it seems to be that the group is constantly evolving with their infection tactics. And basically now they came up with their own custom backdoor, the one which I just mentioned, the load info. And in a nutshell, how does the process work? So well, there's the usual typical phishing usually involved, and how do they try to get a hold of the victim? They most likely send a phishing email with a link or maybe an attachment. However, whatever is the process, the end result is to get the victim to download a RAR archive. And so basically the problem here is that as this malware is using legitimate security applications, the other possible security software installed in the PC are unable to detect it. Kind of interesting, especially the point that there's the legit security software involved in this.
Okay, so you can say that the next news is also quite ugly. So Australian health insurance provider Medibank has been breached. And actually this is quite old news because this happened in October.
Okay.
So this is quite an old breach. But after the breach there was noticed that 9.7 million people's data was stolen in the breach.
Wow.
So the hackers got over 9.7 million customers' information and over 200 gigabytes of data. Oh. And what makes this quite nasty is that the hackers got personal identification information on the customers' data. For example, email addresses, phone numbers, names, date of birth, passport numbers, health claims data, and so on.
Oh no.
Medibank refused to pay the ransom for the hackers. So what did the hackers do was that, of course, they wanted to leverage a little bit the threats, and they published selected records in the dark web. Right. And for example, customer data about people who had sought medical treatment for HIV or drug addiction, or for example, abortions or alcohol abuse, and lots of different sensitive subjects.
Right.
And the story still continues, and there are traces that behind the breach was a Russian hacking group, but this is ongoing investigation right now. But you can say right now that it's quite bad.
It certainly sounds like, yeah. A lot of sensitive information and extortion involved and so forth. All right, moving on, Janne. So next, an illegal advertising revenue generating mobile malware has infected Google App Store.
Okay.
So according to well-known cybersecurity company McAfee, as many as 16 different malicious apps with over 20 million downloads have been recently taken down from the Google Play Store after they were caught committing a mobile ad fraud. So the malware called Clicker masqueraded itself as seemingly harmless utilities such as cameras, currency converters, dictionaries, and so on. The point was to trick the users into downloading them. And this specific malware basically generates illegal advertising revenue and can therefore kind of disrupt the whole mobile advertising ecosystem. So in that sense, it's a bit serious. Once installed and launched, it enables the malware to visit bogus websites and stimulate ad clicks without the victim's knowledge. And to the end user's mobile device, this specific malware may cause heavy network traffic and also consume power without any user awareness. Right? Well, this is unfortunately nothing new in the Google Play Store. There's been multiple similar cases before.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's very true.
That's right. All right. Well, hey, let's move on.
So, our next news is a good reminder that security is always evolving. And attacks on MFA have had dramatic rise over the past year. And things as MFA fatigue have been in the news, for example, in the Uber case, which we talked earlier.
That's true.
And so CISA has released guidance to organizations to make MFA stronger, like using techniques, for example, like phishing-resistant MFA or number matching, so that classical push notification is not the MFA anymore, but you need to, for example, type in some numerals that you see in the screen. And of course, hardware-based and certificate-based MFAs are also suggested. For example, like YubiKey, that can enforce the MFA to be non-phishable.
Right. The next news is also based on CISA, as the CISA releases a vulnerability management framework. So the North American Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has published a guide on stakeholder-specific vulnerability categorization called SSVC methodology. Well, in a concept level, it's a bit similar to CVSS and MITRE frameworks. So maybe some of you guys are already familiar with those frameworks. Well, this methodology basically assesses vulnerabilities and prioritizes remediation efforts. It's based on exploitation status, impacts to safety, popularity on the affected product, and it is displayed on a decision tree guide. So it basically functions in a way that you can visit the CISA's website, this SSVC website. There's a decision tree-based questions, and you're able to answer these questions and continue with your assessment and evaluate the stakeholder-specific vulnerabilities. And the found vulnerabilities will be categorized as track, attend, or act. And organizations can use this tool freely to prioritize the known vulnerabilities based on assessment of 5 different decision points. And they are exploitation status, technical impact, automation, mission popularity, and public well-being impact. So these kind of tools are very essential and useful in many ways, and they can address, for example, and it makes it easier for organizations to understand, for example, the vulnerability impacts to any given products and addresses, for example, supply chain attacks and answers to issues in cross-team communication, such as who fixes what. So imagine if, for example, the Colonial Pipeline company would have had these type of tools before the well-known supply chain attack happened back in a few years ago. Maybe there would have been make a difference.
Okay, but I think we are done.
Yeah.
But before we go, Markus, you had some announcement.
Well, that's true, Janne. We have an upcoming webinar about security monitoring coming up on 24th of November. So we're going to be basically introducing to various concepts related to current cybersecurity monitoring technologies. So check out more info from our website.
But hey, we see you next month. Stay safe.
Stay safe.